name is Jonathan Lowe. I'm the Director of Water Supply Protection here at DCR. Welcome to the Quabbin Visitors Center on this wonderful early summer morning. And just on behalf of our Commissioner Leo Roy, I want to thank all of you for coming today, and for Senator Rosenberg for coming as well. And I just wanted to go over a few points that I think are amazing about Leslie Campbell, and just some of the history, just for all of you to recall some of the things that he's done over the years. And one of the key things Les and I were talking about this morning is how important this resource is to all of us, whether we live in central Massachusetts or folks like me who actually drink the water in metropolitan Boston. Is the connection between the public and the resource, and making sure that the public understands the importance of the natural resources here at the Quabbin Reservoir and watershed, and also understand the importance of protecting it. And that's really where public education and the Visitors Center really come together in making that all happen. And that's what happens here in this room. And Cliff Freed, our Director of Interpretive Services, is here. And what he and his team do with Maria and Justin and Nancy and others is not just work here at the Visitor Center, but we're also out in the community. We're up at the tower where a lot of people come. And this really comes back to Les and your work over the years in making this happen. So thank you. Let me just go through a quick couple points. Les worked for the MDC for 44 years here at Quabbin. He began, I find this amazing, he began in 1944 as the reservoir was still filling for the first time. So that was an important time period. He retired in 1988 as a senior sanitary engineer at Quabbin in the laboratory. He was responsible for monitoring and testing water from Quabbin and the Ware River watersheds. And for many years, he lived on Blue Meadow Road in a house overlooking the reservoir. And a couple other major things. He was really part of the original Quabbin Master Plan Committee. They drafted, our sort of beginnings of our public access plan, so we could allow as much of the public activities as we do here at Quabbin without negatively impacting the water supply. And he worked with with this building and really saw the need for a visitor center. And I think, to some degree, I think this was always the temporary home for a visitor center. Les and I have talked about hopefully doing something bigger and better at some point. I don't know why I looked at you, but I just spent some time in Seattle and Portland, Oregon with their water system managers, and they have some really amazing visitor centers. I think what we do here is fantastic. Maybe a little better, a little bigger would be nice, but. In the early 1980s, Les and his late wife Terry Ann were very influential in the founding of this visitor center, and then they worked to help create the Friends of Quabbin, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting our visitor center and the educational programs. And then Les advocated for permanent interpretive staff to be working here, and worked with Commissioner Bill Geary to encourage this. In 1988, the Quabbin section hired 3 permanent staff, including Terry Ann, who served as the Visitor Center manager from 1988 to 2000. And then, your passion for photography, which everyone here knows certainly about and has seen over the years, has been extremely important in conveying the message, the messages of watershed and water quality protection and protection of our natural resources. So, Les has really helped to preserve and also the photographic record of the Swift River Valley. We have a lot of it here, and we take great care of all of the old photos of the valley. And you've also regularly attended the Tuesday Tea gatherings here for the former residents, and obviously worked with the photo group to keep this legacy alive. So I'm going to turn over to Paul to give a few words to say before we get to the Senator and the unveiling here.
Well, I'm Paul Berman. I'm president of the Pioneer Valley Photography Artists. And I'd like to welcome all of you here to the dedication of a plaque honoring Les Campbell. And it's my privilege to welcome Senator Stanley Rosenberg, who's president of the Massachusetts Senate, who will make the formal dedication.
I am really honored honored to be here. I know we start a lot of speeches saying that, but I am truly honored to be here because Les and I have known each other for approximately 45 years, which is really hard to believe that we've known each other that long. And I am just in awe of the work that you have done in your lifetime and the commitment and passion you have for this place, for this community, and also the creativity that you brought to so many aspects of what happens around here. And your photography is legendary, and I'm excited to have two pieces. I have two Les Campbells in my home, and I look at them often, and just really beautiful, representations, of real representations of what is here in this beautiful nature that's surrounding us. So Les and I work together on Arts Council work, band work. He and I had a little bit of connection in this photography conference that he started at UMass many years ago. I was not a photographer, but while I worked at UMass, I worked in a division that actually connected with conferences that related to the arts, and so I saw him in that venue. There were so many different ways in which Les has impacted this region. No more important thing has he done in his life than establishing this visitor center, because this is where people from many, many generations come to learn some of the history and appreciate what it took to create this reservoir that serves 2.5 or so million people down the road a piece in the Boston area. And to preserve it as not only as a reservoir, but it's a nature preserve as well, and people can enjoy it in so many different ways. And so we wanted to honor you for this service that you have given us, and for the gifts, many gifts that you've given us. And I'm not sure, but it was somebody in this room, no doubt, who sent me that first email and said, you know, it's time for us to say thank you in a formal way to Les. And I said, you're right, what can we do? And we stand here today as a result of that effort that began. And we have a plaque here, which we'll unveil in just a minute, to recognize and honor your work and your commitment to this place, and for the many ways in which you've been this place. And so I think we've said as much as should be said, and so maybe I'll ask you to come up and join me here, and we'll have our representative of the commissioner. You want some folks from the local here? Paul, you want to join us? And we're now going to unveil the plaque without ripping it off the wall. So we're going to try this. Okay, so let's read this. It says, in recognition of Leslie Les Campbell for his role in founding the Quabbin Visitors Center, Friends of Quabbin, Quabbin Photo Group, Pioneer Valley photographic artists, and protecting and sharing the beauty of the Quabbin Reservoir and watershed throughout his work and photography. From the Pioneer Valley photographic artists and the Department of Conservation and Recreation, and it's given this day, not this day, it was apparently decided upon on January 14, 2016. Congratulations, Paul. Is worth 1,000 words. What a few words from Mr. Campbell, from his own mouth.
Well, it has been, I don't disagree on it, and I appreciate very much the Friends taking the initiative to establishing this, because I felt at the beginning it was essential to protect the reservoirs, to educate the people who come here, and because understanding something you desire to protect it, not understanding you trash it. So it's been important, but the one thing I guess I will say in this long journey is being able to delve into the history and understand the engineering more than I would have if I had established this facility. But I guess the important thing to say is I want you all to look around the room and eliminate all the photographs. And what do you got? It's essential. So that was the first thing that I did when I established the visitor center. Other than picking the entire committee, the first Friends of Quabbin for support, because we started with volunteers, was to, I picked a wide diversity of people, from poets to authors to photographers to painters and engineers and sportsmen. We're all on the original Friends of Quabbin support group. So, but the photography was the first thing I did, is I ran a photography class here and established the Quabbin Photo Group, which was actually a continuation of the former Bellstown Color Camera Club, which I founded in 1949. So I go back quite a ways. Anyway, that's because I felt photography was vital to conveying the message. And as you see, if you don't have the pictures here, it goes pretty flat. And not everybody will take the time to read it, but they're attractive and the pictures tell the story. And so we established that. And a little later on, established the Pioneer Valley Photographic Artists, which is devoted to prints, and prints are the final art of photography. And the Quabbin Photo Group works primarily in slides, and then they converted to digital images, but we still convene with projected images, whereas the other group, we concentrate on the print and on developing the levels. And we have several members of that group now who have one-man shows of very competent photographers in the group. So that's come a long way, and I'm happy to have established that group. But photography was important, and I felt I had to be a part of it, so I incorporated it into the program with the Friends, and as you can see. And I guess the other one thing that was important, when I started the visitor center, I began trying to get information on what was here visually. And I happened to have a friend who was working in the Boston office at that time, and he was a photography friend from the South Shore Camera Club. And they were changing, they were moving, and they were throwing out stuff. And I said, keep your eye out. If you see anything that you think was pre-Quabbin, let me know. And one night he said, I got this manila envelope with some negatives in it, and they're not identified. And I think they might be the Quabbin area. So I said, send them out to me. When I opened the envelope, there were 8 by 10 aerial photographs of the areas of the former towns, or with the former towns, taken in 1930. It's taken me a long time to find out what kind of a camera they used to do this with. It's a Fairchild camera, and created by Fairchild, who then had to create an airplane to carry it. But it's a huge camera. It looks like a giant Hasselblad. It takes 8 by 10 roll film, and it's mounted on the rear cockpit of an airplane, so you stand up in it and shoot. Pretty remarkable. But those are the photographs, some of them right there. And that's probably the greatest treasure that came out of established this. Those have been lost, that have been tragic. Because there's only really, and the detail, I can't even do it that quality today. It's just amazing. So that was I think one of the great things that's established, to have established the visitor center, who knows what happens to those negatives, but at least they're now preserved, they're archived, and along with establishing a Tuesday tea for former residents, gave people doing articles on Quabbin a place to come and meet former residents or get information. So the influence of this center throughout everything on the whole process, I think it's been tremendous, and I think it's one of the things I'm proudest of, having had the vision to start. So again, thank you all for coming.